What's going on, guys, and welcome to Yoda Expedition. Today we're going to be looking at an upgrade for the 3rd gen Tacoma. This is the hex rack from Meso Customs. So we have two options here on the table, sunroof and non-sunroof. Our Tacoma is a non-sunroof model. Taking a quick closer look at the sunroof model. When it comes to installing this, the installation process is pretty much going to be the same as the non-sunroof model. You're going to be using the same tools, but the mounting location is going to be different. Also, with the sunroof model, you can see there's a lot more surface area, so you have room to mount a lot more things than the non-sunroof model, so that's one plus about this. If you're looking for instructions on how to install this specific model, you can check out Meso Customs website. Moving on to the non-sunroof model. Like I mentioned, you can see this is a lot skinnier, so you don't have as much surface area to mount things, but let's go ahead and open this thing up and we'll show you everything that's included. So we have the paperwork here showing you everything that should be in the box. Also a QR code here for instructions. You're going to obviously find your hex rack. You're going to find your hardware with all your bolts and spacers in there and the Riv Nuts. And then they also include the whole tool for the Riv Nuts. So once you remove your grab handles, the non-sunroof one mounts where the grab handles are in the back. You remove those, and we're going to be putting some Riv Nuts in there, and then the hex rack is going to be bolting into the handle locations. I want to mention, once we remove the grab handles from the back of the Tacoma, we will not be reinstalling them. There is an optional kit that you can get, so you can reuse your handles, but with this, it's just going to be the rack up there, and that's it. So with that being said, let's go ahead, hop into the Tacoma, and we'll show you how to remove those grab handles. So we're in the Tacoma. If you pull down the back handle, you can see right here, there's two covers. We're gonna have to go ahead and pop those off. I have a really small flathead screwdriver on the side of these covers. There's a little slot you can put the screwdriver in. So we'll go ahead and pop these covers off. Finally, these caps are definitely not the easiest thing to get off without making some marks on the plastic, that's for sure. There we go. Here's the plastic clip that I just took out. You can see right here and right here on this side, there's two little things that hook in. So what you need to do is pry those out, and then you should be able to pull this out. So once you get those plastic clips off, you're gonna find that this is not held on with bolts or anything. There are metal clips, one on each side, that is holding this into the headliner. So you're gonna go ahead and take a flathead or something. We're going to go ahead and pry both sides at the same time. I should probably get another flathead, or I can use this prying tool. If we can get both sides compressed at the same time and pull out. So we got that side. Go ahead and do the other side. Prying up with a screwdriver on one side. Prying down on the other side. There we go. Now, you'll see that they're still in there. All you have to do is just squeeze it with your fingers and you can pull it out just like that. So now we're ready to go ahead and put these Riv Nuts in here supplied by Meso Customs. We have the tool, we have one of the Riv Nuts, and then we have a bolt threaded into the Riv Nut. So we're going to go ahead now and get this inserted into the Riv Nut gun. Now with the Riv Nut inserted into the Riv Nut gun, we're going to go ahead and just hold that bolt with our finger, and we'll just tighten this up on there as much as we can with our fingers, so that way it's not flopping around. Now we have to put a round Riv Nut into a rectangular hole. So what you want to do is try to get it centered up in that rectangle as best as possible, and then once you have it in a spot where you're happy, we're going to go ahead and squeeze this. This will get locked in place, and then we can remove that bolt from it. All right, so it's a bit to get it in there, but once you do, you can see we have a lot of room back and forth. So just try to find the center, and now we'll go ahead and crush that in place just like so. We can remove the nut or the bolt. Let's go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. You have to rock it back and forth a bit to get it in there. There we go. Center it up. Squeeze it in place. Remove the bolt. All right, so we got the passenger side finished up. I'm gonna go ahead now and do the same thing on the driver's side, and then we can go ahead and get the hex rack installed. So we got both sides done. We have the Riv Nuts installed. Now we have the hex rack here. This is going to be going in this orientation. Obviously it's going to curve up to go with the curve of your headliner. Now if you want, you can mount it this way, or you can spin it around 180 degrees and you can mount it this way as well. It's up to you. One way is going to have it pushed towards the front of the vehicle just a couple of inches. It might give your back passengers a little bit more headroom, and it'll also give the stuff that's mounted up here, it's going to make it a little bit closer to you, so if you have to turn around to grab it, it might be a little helpful. Whatever you are mounting to this, I would suggest mounting it to the Molle panel before you mount it up to the roof. But now is the fun part of holding this up there in place, getting the spacers behind there, and getting all of the bolts started. If you have an extra person, probably not a bad idea. So we have the hole here where you're going to be mounting the bolt. We have our spacer and we have our bolt. So we're going to be putting the spacer in between the headliner and the bracket, or the hex rack. And then our bolt's going to be going up from the bottom like so, and then we can go ahead and thread that into those Riv Nuts. So now the fun part. Lift this up and get the bolt started. All right, that wasn't too bad. I'm gonna go ahead now, get one started on the other side, then I won't really have to hold it up anymore. Once you get two in and the thing is just hanging up there by itself, it's a lot easier to get the other two started. So we have all four started. Now we can go ahead and just snug these down. You do have a little bit of movement. If you force this up, you can see it is slotted here, so you can push this up more if you want to. I'm just going to tighten it down in its lowest position. That way the slot is sitting against that nut. It might be a little bit more stable like that. But I'm going to go ahead, snug these down, and then we are finished. So that's going to wrap up this install. Like I mentioned before, Meso Customs does have a kit to utilize the factory handles. So if you want to keep these, you can get that kit. You can mount these right into the location of where they were, along with the hex rack. Earlier I mentioned about the sunroof model. If you do have that, the whole unit is going to be back farther. It's going to be mounting into these two little hook sections here, and then your dome light is here. You're going to be using that as a mounting point as well. But you're going to have more surface area here on the whole back side of the roof to mount all of your Molle bags and accessories. There is a little bit of room up here, so you can have access to mount stuff, but if it comes to Velcro and stuff, it might be a little bit difficult to get it mounted, but that's why I just mentioned to do that before mounting this up. But it also may make it a little bit more difficult to mount this to your headliner with a bunch of things hanging from it. It's up to you, whatever you find easier. But that's it for this one. If you guys want to grab one of these for your Tacoma, you can head over to yodaexpedition.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.